Hey and welcome to this free training about DaVinci Resolve on the iPad. And in this training I will give you the 5 biggest mistakes that I see beginners are doing and how to fix them fast. I'm Daniel, a filmmaker and creator from Germany, and I left Germany in 2015, and since that I'm traveling around the world as a digital nomad. I also created 2 masterclasses, one about Final Cut Pro on the iPad and one about DaVinci Resolve on the iPad. It's a beginner to pro course. But this training now is not about my masterclass. I'm not pitching all the time. We will have a ton of value that I give you, so I hope that you put your phone away and that you grab a pen and paper so that you can learn a lot about DaVinci Resolve. And then after that, I will give you a special bonus for my masterclass if you choose to continue and you want to learn more about that. So if that is cool with you, let's jump and start with the first one. So the very first time when you open DaVinci Resolve on the iPad, you will be greeted with this window here. That is the project manager. In the project manager, you can create your libraries, your databases, and all of your projects. And the biggest mistake that I found, this is now tip number 1. When you just use the local database when DaVinci Resolve is installed on your iPad. For the first 30 days when DaVinci Resolve came out, I created YouTube videos and I also created videos for my masterclass. And then there was a point when I had to deinstall my app from my iPad. So I deleted it, not thinking about it, reinstalled it, and all of my projects were gone. Very important. This step that I will teach you now, you have to do this at the very beginning or you might lose all of your projects. Let me explain you this window here a little bit. This will be empty when you have never created any projects. I will just show you something here on the left. When you open this one, these are your libraries. DaVinci Resolve works like this. You can create different libraries. You have to think about this like, let's say you work on a SSD and you travel around. You could create a library on the SSD and then all of your projects that you travel all the time, you can store here on that library. You can create a local library that's here on the iPad, and then for that project or for that work, all the projects you create, you can save here. I, for example, have made a separate library just for my masterclass stuff. So if I come into this one here, for example, it will now load. It's also on an SSD, not that one here, the one that is connected at the moment to my iPad. Here, that's the hard drive that I have connected right now via a USB hub here on my iPad. The reason why? Because I wanted to take this SSD and also use it somewhere else. I could come to your iPad and then work from this SSD. Or I could go to my MacBook and still work in DaVinci Resolve on my MacBook. So number 1, I will show you now how you can create a library, because at the beginning, when you just install DaVinci Resolve, you will only have the local library here. But if you keep it as default, like I said, you might lose all of your projects. The first thing you do, we will create a new library that will become your new local library. And the way you do this is with this button here. So if you don't see this, again, you can just click here on next to the projects, then you see the libraries, and then you come here to add project library. And with this window, you have 2 options. You can either create a complete new library. This is what we will do now. Or I could also connect a library if I know, for example, let's say on this hard drive, which is not connected yet, I have a library and I come now to your iPad. I could connect this to your iPad and then we could come in here, connect, and then I could click here on browse and search for the library and open the library, and then all the projects that I saved here are also open on your iPad. So we are creating a new library, and I will also call that now here local. You can name it whatever you like. That will be the library inside of your iPad. Local, for the video now just test. And now come here to browse. So this will now open the files from your iPad. The way this works is if we come back here and browse back. So on my iPad, you will see all the different folders from your apps that you installed, the ones that created apps, like for example, the DaVinci Resolve folder. The default location is here, Resolve project library inside of your iPad, of the folder of DaVinci Resolve. And the reason why it was deleting all of the projects when I deinstalled DaVinci Resolve, when you remove DaVinci Resolve from your iPad, it will also remove this folder. So this is why it's so important. Now we choose a different location. On my iPad, for example, I created a folder here called videos, and under videos, I have a project, Resolve project library. But you could also do this here on the first, and you could now come in here and create a new folder, and we just call that one DaVinci Resolve project library. So I encourage you that you do the same so that this will be the library that is local on your iPad, not on an SSD. Hit enter. So now we are in this location and we say here open. So here under that, it now shows us this location. And if we say now create, we create a complete new library. And now we have here the local test. and all the projects that we now open will be saved on this location. I cannot tell you enough times. This is actually something that I normally teach in my masterclass. This you have to do. If not, you maybe lose hours of work. And I see so many people in my comments responding, oh, what happened? I lost all of my project. Yes, because you didn't save the projects. There is a way to save the projects afterwards. I will not teach you this right now. It will just blow up this video too much. But there's different ways how you can save your projects. You can copy the project. It's all possible. But if you do this, this is the best way you can guarantee even in the future, if you delete DaVinci, that you still have the project on your iPad. Now, let's create a new project. Just in case you don't know how this works, we have this window here. If I come here to new project, I can create a new project, give this a name. This is now, for example, a reel that I want to create, reel test. And since DaVinci Resolve 20, we have this new option, media location. Where do you want to save the media for that one project? You could now technically also save the media somewhere else. So I can change the location. I can, for example, now come in here to the DaVinci project library. And if you want, you could make a new folder here and call that one DaVinci Resolve Media. So, and I will select this one now. And now all the proxies and cache files will be saved into the same location like our library. And then I say create. And now that project is now created in the library. Okay, let's come to mistake number 2. And that is, for example, not really understanding the surface of our cut page. When we have DaVinci Resolve open with the iPad, there's 2 pages. And what I'm talking about is this one now. We are in the cut page. We have another page that is called the color page. And in the cut page, we have basically 3 windows. We have this window here on the top. This is where all our media goes. Then we have a preview window here. I will show you this in a second when we put media in. And then we have our timeline here on the bottom. Okay, let's import some media here into DaVinci Resolve. You have a couple of ways how you can do this. If there's nothing in, you even see here a button, import media. You can click on this and it will open your files. But you cannot just import from files. Actually, a better way is to right-click into this area. If you just have a pencil or your finger, you can just longer press and then it will open the context menu. It's basically right-click. And then you see here I can import media, or I can import media from Photos, because we also have our Photos app, right? So if I'm in my Photos app, I can now look for media. Here, for example, I will take these clips from my iPad mini 7, add them. Now it's asking me, do you want to change the project frame rate to the frame rate of the videos? Because the videos that I shoot are in completely different resolutions, sometimes 2K, sometimes 4K, and sometimes even in different frame rates. So sometimes I shoot in 24, sometimes I do in 30, sometimes I do even slow motion, 120 frames. So I don't want that DaVinci is now changing my project settings to the files that it finds. So I just say here, don't change. When the clips are here inside of DaVinci Resolve, you will see the clips here on the top. So this is the media pool. I can double click on a clip and then I open the clip here and I can go through this clip here, start, stop, play. This menu now is now for the viewer. So if I'm now previewing the media here, I can even play, stop, go backwards and everything here with this menu. If I want to bring this clip into my timeline, I can simply drag and drop this one, hold it, down to my timeline. Now I have this clip in my timeline and I can go here through that clip as well. So now this window, which is my preview, this will always show you where you work at the moment. So if I'm in the timeline here with this playhead here and that playhead, I will tell you in a second why we have 2 timelines. I can preview whatever I see here in my timeline. If I go back to a clip here, let's say, for example, this one, double tap, now I'm back into the media and I can look for the media. Because before we bring something into the timeline, what I can also do is, let's remove this. If I preview something, I don't have to take this whole clip down to the timeline. I can actually do the following. I can make a pre-selection. So for example, if I go here through with my playhead, that's the little playhead now for the media, I can click on this icon here to mark only this area from here to the end. I can continue with my playhead and, for example, say, I like this part to here and click on this button. So now I have only this to here marked. And I can drag and drop now from the viewer down to the timeline. And now in my timeline, only that part that I selected is in. Let's come back in here, double tap, because you cannot just do this with these 2 icons. If you actually connected a Bluetooth keyboard or the Magic Keyboard, you can also use shortcuts for that. So if I bring this back, so like this, I can bring my playhead, like say, on this position, and the shortcuts I and O, I brings it in here, and the shortcut O brings it in here, so I can make my selections even with the shortcut. You don't need to use a shortcut, but you can if you like. And if you want to reset your selection, you can also just double tap one of these. So for example, my outpoint is sitting here, right? So I have material left here. I could double click this one, then it is resetted here. I can double tap that one, and then the beginning is reset. Let's come back here to the media pool, because in the media pool, you see now the 6 clips that we added, but also now it created a timeline. So now I see my timeline here, and the timeline looks a little bit different because the icon here on the bottom, and also because we now selected the timeline. That's the one that we are working on right now. You see that based on that icon here with the red check mark. If you work with a lot of clips, if you just place all of your clips here into the media pool, it becomes very, very unorganized. So one of the best tips also to become a faster video editor is to actually organize your material. So one way we can do this is, for example, we can come up here and click on this and then say here, add bin. Now I created a folder called bin in DaVinci Resolve. And I can, for example, say here videos. And in this one, I want to bring in the videos. I will make another folder, add bin, and I call that one timeline. The timeline that we just talked about, I can just drag and drop that into this folder. And if I click into an empty area and hold and drag, I can actually mark all of those clips. That also works with the Apple Pencil. So I can just come into an area here, mark everything. And now with the Apple Pencil, drag all of these clips into the video bin. So now you start to get a little bit more organized. So I have my clips now here in the videos, and you will always see in which folder you are here, master. Now I'm the folder videos. I can just double click here on master, then I'm back into the master, and I can come back into the timelines. Because the cool thing about DaVinci Resolve, and that's why it's one of the most professional software, you can create as many timelines as you want. For example, let's come back into the videos folder, and let's bring in another clip here just to that one, just to show you this, and maybe another clip here onto the end. So now this is our timeline. We're building our story. I have now 3 clips in. And what if you are not sure if you want to keep it like this and you want to test out something? You could come back into the timelines, and you could, for example, right click on a timeline and then say here, duplicate timeline. So I can now say duplicate timeline, and instead of copy, I rename this one. I just simply click on this one. So to rename something, just click until you see the highlight here. And now I can rename this, and I call this revision 2. Think about it. If you work on your videos, and maybe you can do this for yourself, or even if you work with a client. Let's say you finish a video and now you send the video to your client, and the client says, oh, I like it, but can you change that, that, and that? And now you go back, and if you wouldn't create a copy of your timeline, if you come back to your timeline and you do all the changes, create a new video and give it to your client, and now the client says, actually, I don't like these changes. Can you just go back in the old one that was actually better? Now you're screwed. Now you have to do everything again or remove everything. No. The way you work with something like this, and even for yourself, for your own YouTube channel, every time if you're not sure if something will work out, you can create as many timelines as you want, duplicate timelines. And here, for example, I can now come in here, double click in timeline revision 2. It is the exact same timeline now. But for example, if I want to do any changes, let's say, for example, I want to change the ending. So what I now did, I just clicked here on the end of a clip. I can change that. And I want to test something out, put some transitions, whatever. And now I don't change my first timeline. I can always come back to my first timeline. My progress is saved in these timelines. So this is the next mistake that I see, that the beginner editors don't even work with timelines. But this is a powerful tool in DaVinci Resolve. And you always see in which timeline you work based on the check mark here. And here on top of the viewer, now I'm working in timeline 1, revision 2. But I can come back in here and open timeline 1. So this is how you can always swap in between the timelines. So if you work from your SSD or from the files in DaVinci Resolve, because sometimes we copy folders and video clips, everything, not always it lands into the Photos app, then there is a powerful way. You don't have to even create the folders, the bins that I just showed you. If you already created the folders on your drive or internally, you can use these folders, and I show you how this works. Instead of right click here in an empty area, I'm now back into the master. I can come up to this one and I can right click on this icon, and it will give me a couple of options. I can import media. I can import a folder. So if I click on this one, now it opens my file system again. And so I can come back in here, and I prepared already something. Here under my downloads, I have a folder import. If I click in this one, I have 3 test clips in it. But instead of now selecting all of these clips and creating a folder, what I can do is I can just simply click on this folder and say now open, and it will create the full folder. So if I come back in here, master, I have now the folder import. And inside of that, I have my clips. So what I encourage you to do also to organize your stuff, especially if you have more clips. For example, if I just make a short video, a reel for Instagram story, and I just recorded like 2 clips, I don't create these folders. Then you don't have to create these folders. But let's say you create a wedding shoot, or you are for a week creating videos because you're making a vlog. The bigger your projects become, the better it is that you organize your stuff. And for example, when I was doing vlogs, what I did while I was traveling, every evening I dumped my SD card and I created folders, and I created folders for all my cameras, all the people that I got footage, and all the days and the locations. And so I created already sorting just by saving my files. And then I saved everything here onto my SSD. So now imagine you did already the work and you created all the folders. With this feature that I just showed you, you can bring in all the folder structure, and then even inside of your project, all of your folders are created for you. One important thing, DaVinci works the following. These videos that you see in here, if you, for example, click that video and you now delete this here with the garbage can, this video is not deleted from your hard drive. What DaVinci Resolve does, it takes basically just a skeleton in your project to work with the video. But the original video is always on your hard drive, your local thing. It's not deleted. So if you delete something in here, it doesn't delete the footage, okay? Now let's come to the third biggest mistakes that I see. Now we're talking about vertical videos. How can you create vertical videos for Instagram Reels, for YouTube Shorts, and for TikTok? So first of all, when you come here to your DaVinci Resolve, on the bottom right, you always see these 2 icons. The home icon is the project manager. With this one, you can always open the project manager, go to a different project, create new project, create libraries. And the other icon is this one here. That's the settings menu for the project settings. When you open this one, you will have this massive menu where you can do a lot of settings related to your project. The first one is the master settings. That's what we will look at right now because that's the most important. But you have a lot of other ones like Blackmagic Cloud, image scaling, color management, general options. There's a lot that you can change here. But the most important now is master settings, because here in the master settings, we can change the timeline resolution and also the frame rate. If you record in different resolutions, you can create different timelines in different resolutions. And if you purchase the studio version for DaVinci Resolve, you can also create timelines up to 8K. If you have the free version of DaVinci Resolve, you can create timelines up to 2K. And 2K is full HD. That's in most cases is still enough. So I give you an example. Most of my videos are tutorials for YouTube. And I still, to this day, most of my videos is just 2K, especially if you consume content on your phone. Most of the videos in 2K is still enough. But that doesn't mean that it applies to everyone, and maybe also not to you. Maybe you have some amazing drone shots that you want to show in 4K or even 8K because you have like a big camera. That is possible if you get the studio version. But be aware, DaVinci Resolve has, most of the iPads have no limitations. But for a couple of features and also like 8K resolution, you need an iPad with the M chip series. So M1, M2, M4 or whatever comes in the future. If you have an older iPad, let's say for example the AZ12 or something, then these are some of the features that are limited. So for example, you can only create a 2K timeline. Even if you purchase the studio version, if you have an older iPad, you cannot do it. The only exception to this rule is the new iPad mini 7, because that has an 817 Pro chip in it. And for whatever reason, they gave this chip the same rules like an M chip. So you can actually create 8K material timelines and you don't have any limitations when you use an iPad mini 7. And if you want to create now vertical videos, you have to just understand the following. If I have a normal video like this one that you watch right now, or for YouTube or for movies, then I have, for example, here a 2K timeline, 1920 by 1080 pixels. What that means is I have 1920 pixels in horizontal and I have 1080 pixels in vertical. So if I would like to use this resolution but vertical, I just have to flip the numbers. So I could come in here and just simply say here 1080 and then here 1920. That is how you create vertical videos. But of course you don't have to type this in with DaVinci Resolve. You see now here it automatically make this check mark, use vertical resolution. So you don't have to type it in. You can simply click this icon here, use vertical resolutions, and now all the numbers will be flipped. Now we have vertical videos. And when you click into this one here, you can also now change in between the different resolutions that you can create for your timeline, even up to 8K. I show you this now without vertical. If I come in here and you have the studio version like me and you have an M chip iPad, then here you can go up to 8K Ultra HD. You can create these kind of resolutions. Even here a DCI resolution 8K all possible. You can create timelines like this. And the second important thing is your frame rate. But wait, why is the timeline frame rate now locked? Why can I not change this? And the reason why is because we already created 2 timelines with a specific frame rate. And to show you this, I will now come back here to the project manager and just create a new project. We call this one now test 2, create, because that project is now empty. And if I now come in here to the settings, you see I can change also the frame rate of my videos. So what is the rule of thumb if you want to create frame rates? It depends on your cameras and what you're shooting. So for example, I really like the cinematic look. Most Hollywood movies are still shot in 24 frames. That means I set my main camera, that's my Canon R6 that you're seeing here right now. I set this one to 24 frames. And even if I shoot on the go with my iPhone, I use the Blackmagic camera app and I set it to 24 frames. And because of that, I set my timeline to 24 frames because all of my cameras are matching. If all of your cameras are shooting in 30 frames, then I would encourage you that you set your timeline also to 30 frames. So, but what if you want 24 frames, but your cameras are shooting different frame rates? So it's not a deal breaker. You can still do this, but you have to think about it. If you shoot in 30 frames and now you create a 24 frames timeline, that means we have 24 images in 1 second. If you have a 30 frames timeline, that's 30 images in 1 second. And if I now take a video that is 30 frames and I put it into a 24 frames timeline, what the program is doing, it's interpolating. It will basically cut out 6 frames, and these cut out 6 frames could end up, it's not always the case, but it could end up that your video looks a little bit choppy. So to make sure that your videos look proper, that's why I set the camera frame rate and also the timeline frame rate to the same. Hey Daniel, what about slow motion? In my masterclass, I cover slow motion a lot, how you can create that and everything. But for a general rule, if you want to create slow motion videos, this is when you set up your frame rate by recording to a higher frame rate. What do I mean? I set this up now to maybe 60, 120, or even 240 frames per second. That means if I record now a video, each second it will record way more images. And for example, this is another reason why I choose 24 frames, because when I shoot in 120 frames, that means I can slow down that footage 5 times. So now I can show you a slow motion video that doesn't look choppy because I still have 24 frames when I slow it down 5 times. And this is giving you these amazing slow motion videos that look nice to your eye because it doesn't look choppy. Because when you take a normal video, 24 frames, 30 frames, and you slow it down 5 times, now you end up with not enough frames. That means our eye can see the images, and that means now the video doesn't look fluid anymore. So what's the rule here? I still keep my timeline as 24 frames, but I record in 124 frames on my camera, and then I can slow it down in the program. To create now a vertical timeline, what I can do now here is I can use vertical resolution, and let's say I want to create a 4K timeline. Let's say this one here, 2160 by 3840, that's Ultra HD. And I keep it as 24 frames, and now I save. If I create now a new timeline here inside, either by bringing in clips, or I can also right click here now and say create new timeline. And every time when I create a new timeline, it will ask me, do you want to use the project settings? And because for that project, we changed now the settings, I can just say here, use the project settings, because now that timeline has these settings from the project. You can always come back to the timeline, any timeline, right click, and then come here to timeline settings. And then you see what are the settings for that specific timeline. And you see now here, because we have the checkmark use project settings, we have our vertical video with 4K. But if we now, let's come back here to the project manager. If I create now a new project, test 3, and I say create, and if I come back now to my project settings, you will see now that the project settings is not what we just changed. The reason why is because what we just changed for the other project is only for that project. But what if you want to create a default? So like, let's say, for example, most of your videos are vertical videos because you create Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts or TikToks. It is so much faster to actually have a default as vertical. And I will show you now how this works. So I come in here to vertical resolution. I change it now to Ultra HD. I keep this one, let's say, for example, because you shoot with iPhone and most of the iPhones are 30 frames. So I change this to 30 frames. Now I can create a default, a so-called preset. And you can create preset here by the 3 dots. So you come up here. I already created them. So you see here, I have 2 presets here that I already created. But if you want to create a new one, you can now come in here, save current settings, as a preset. And now you can give this a name. And I would always give it a name so that you recognize what this is. This is now a vertical 4K with 30 frames. So then I know this is vertical 4K 30 frames, and I say okay. Now when I come back here to the three dots, in the list here, you see now here I created vertical 4K 30 frames. If you don't want to use a preset anymore, you can just simply go over and delete the preset, then the preset is gone. So if I now open a new project, I want to show you something. New project, test 4. And now we come back to the project settings. Huh? The default is still the other one. What happened? We created a preset, but we didn't say DaVinci Resolve that that preset is our new default. If we come back up here to the three dots, you see now we have this list, right? I created a 2K Full HD horizontal and I created a vertical 4K 30 frames. And then we have here default. Every time when you create a new project, it will always use the default settings. So if I want to overwrite my default settings, because let's say you make a lot of vertical videos, then you would come in here, make sure that these settings are now the vertical ones. Currently they are not. So I come in here, go to my vertical, and I load the preset. Now all the settings are like I want it. Now I can come up here to the three dots and say, set current settings as the default preset. It will ask me, update preset. The preset setting will be replaced with your current settings. You can't undo this action. I want to do this, so I say update. And now if I come back in here, project, this is the last new project that we're creating just for the test. If I now create test 5, create, and now you will see inside here of my settings, I have now the vertical 4K timeline with 30 frames as my default. And this is what you can create if you create a lot of vertical videos. So let's come back in here to the project manager because we don't need all of these anymore. So I mark all of them, right click and just say delete because we don't need them anymore. And I couldn't delete that one because that's the project we have still open. So I first have to come into this project. I open that project, come back here to the project manager, and now I can right click on this one as well, delete, because we don't need that. So this was the first method. You can change the project settings. That's the most important because that can maybe help you a lot. But DaVinci Resolve is so good. I already showed you that we can create multiple timelines even in one project. What about if you create your video here and that's it's horizontal. And now with the same video, the same project, you want to now create a vertical video. Are there some options for that? Yes, there are two ways how you can do this. Number one, if you are in a project, you can always right click here and say create new timeline. And instead of using the project settings now, we can come in here to format, like I uncheck this one, go to format, and now you see the same window like with the project settings. And now I can change these settings. I want to use now a vertical resolution. And for that video, I just want to use 2K, 24 frames. That is fine. So I create this timeline and I will give this a new name. So just click on here, vertical 2K timeline. So I drag and drop this into timeline so that all the timelines are here in this folder. And now I can double tip this one. And now you see already, now I have a vertical timeline. But now I don't have my footage in. What can you do? First method, you can come in here to timeline 1. I can copy everything that I have here in this timeline. So I bring my playhead here to the beginning and now right click here on the playhead. And I use this icon here to select everything to the right. If I would place my playhead, let's say somewhere here, to the end, I can also do this and select everything to the left. Now, right click here and say copy. And we go to the other timeline, the vertical timeline. I can simply right click here, paste. Now I have my timeline in here. Obviously, before the timeline was horizontal, now it is cut left and right something. So you have to now make sure and go through your timeline and change whatever you want. This is one method. Let's delete this timeline because I want to show you this another method. Instead of creating a new timeline, I could also come into this timeline, right click, duplicate timeline, the same that we did before, call this one vertical 2K timeline. And now I right click again and I go to the timeline settings. And instead of using project settings, I can now change that afterwards as well. So I do vertical 24 frames, that's fine. And now I have the same result. So you have those two options. You either can create a new one or you can duplicate. Since DaVinci Resolve 20, there's another method that you can use. So let's delete this timeline again. We don't need it. I can come into this timeline. When you come up here to this icon gives you instant access to different resolutions for your timeline. Now we have 2K. I could change this to 4K, or I can also go to 2K vertical. And now you see the behavior is a little bit different. It keeps the timeline, everything as it was, but I have now transparent background here and here. Maybe this is exactly what you wanted. If not, you can go through your timeline and make your settings and change the zoom and everything. The zoom you would actually change by, for example, clicking here a clip and then come into the inspector. I will not now talk a lot about the inspector, but the inspector is always here on the top right. Whatever you click in DaVinci Resolve, you can change all of the parameters in the inspector. And the inspector is a huge settings module. You have to think about it like this. The first one is all the transform settings. Here, for example, I can zoom in, I can change the position, I can even change the rotation. All of this you do here in the inspector. And to make it work, you always have to make sure you click the clip that you want to change, and then you are in the inspector. And then you can change that one clip. If I want to change that one, make sure that your playhead is showing it. Now I can come in here and do some changes, zoom in, change the position. You do this all here in the inspector. Okay, that was a lot of settings that you can change, but now you know how you can do vertical videos, and you have to find the way that works the best for you. If you create a lot of vertical videos, I would encourage you that you actually do the first one. That is maybe a little bit of more work, but if you create a preset, after that you never have to change this again. You can always use your preset for your projects, and then you just go on and create your videos. Okay, let's come to biggest mistake number 4, and that is actually how can you really use most efficient the ripple trim functions. So how can you cut your timeline? How do I do it to be very fast? And I want to teach you this right now. Okay, before we start with this, I already showed you something. If we come back in here to the videos and I click on a video, right? I showed you this with in and out points, and that you can just simply drag and drop something into your timeline. But that's not the only way how you can bring something in your timeline. Under your media pool, you see these 4 icons. These are the different ways how you can bring footage into your timeline. The first one is, for example, if I come back in here to this video, for example, I make another in point here, another out point here. So now I have this clip and I want to bring this into my timeline. The first one is the so-called smart insert. When we look here into our timeline and I move my playhead, you see here this white arrow. This right arrow is the smart indicator. That means I don't have to place my playhead exactly where I want to bring it in. I can simply place it somewhere and then see here with the right white arrow, this would be the position where my next clip will be placed. So for example, if I now double click in this one again, I'm seeing this in my viewer. That's my selection. And if I now click on this icon, automatically, even if my playhead was here, it added the clip here on that position. If I, for example, place this here, so that means this smart arrow indicator is in between 2 clips. If I do now the same with this clip here, and I click on smart insert, now this clip is inserted in between. Let's undo what we just did, and you can do this always here on the bottom, next to the garbage can. This is undo, and that is redo. So I undo, undo. The next one always places this clip on the end of your timeline. So for example, it doesn't matter where my playhead is, it ignores also the smart indicator. That clip will always go to the end of my timeline. So if I double click here and I click on this one, boom, it's on the end of my timeline. The third icon and the third way is basically replacing a clip. So for example, if I place my clip now on this clip here, and I go to this clip here, and I place on the third icon, what it now will do is it will replace this clip with the new selection. So if I click on this, boom, it replaced it with this, undo. The fourth icon is actually 3 different methods. So you see here this little arrow here. So if I right click here, I can see there's 3 methods how to use this icon. There's the close up, there's the place on top, and the source override. I will now show you place on top. Let's say, for example, on that position. And I come now to this, and I say, right click, place on top. It will place this clip on the position where, exactly on the position where my playhead was, and then boom, place it there. And funny, whatever you selected here last, this will replace the icon that you see. So now I don't have to right click again for place on top. I can now just simply place my playhead, come into this clip, place on top, and now here it's placed on top. Let's undo, undo. If I select the second one, close up, it's basically the same like place on top. So it will place a clip on top, but also 2x zoom in. So I have a clip here in my timeline. What if exactly on that position, here when I see the Apple logo, I want to zoom in 2x. If I place my playhead exactly here and I click now close up, it will create a zoomed in version of that clip. Let's look at this. I'm there and boom, 2x into my frame. So there's different ways how you can zoom in. Most of the times what I do is actually go into the inspector and change the zoom value. But that sometimes can be a little bit of more work. If you just want to zoom into something, you can use this 2x close up. Now we have our clips here in the timeline, and you can do a lot in the timeline. You can simply click a clip and change the position wherever you want. If you drag it to the top layer, it will also create a new layer here on the top. If I click another clip and I place it here on the top, it will create another layer on the top. DaVinci Resolve works like this. You can create as many layers as you need. So now at the moment we have 4 layers already, and you simply can drag and drop your stuff. If the snapping is not activated, so if we come here to this icon, look at this one, there's this magnet, it's called snap. If this one is off, then our clips not automatically will snap into position. So make sure, it's just sometimes easier to have this one on. By default it should be on, and then you can snap your clips on the positions where you want. The same is for the playhead. If I place my playhead with snapping on, it very fast goes in between clips, and I can make my operations here in between. If I don't need a track anymore, I can also just right click here on this track and say, for example, delete this track, and we also don't need the third one, delete this track. We have those 2 tracks. If I have this clip here, for example, I can use, if you have a mouse, but of course you can do all of it with the pencil, but if you have a mouse, you can even see that the mouse cursor is changing to different icons based on where you hover over. So for example, if I hover here over the end and I now click and drag to the right or to the left, I can extend my clip. And if I extend and hold it dragged, you can see now left and to the right there is these white outlines. What does this mean? The white outline is the maximum that I can drag. This is the end of my clip. I cannot drag more than this because now I'm in the end of my clip. The same here for the left side. If I select this icon here and go to the left, the maximum I can do is the maximum of my clips. And not just that, if I have 2 clips, instead of going each end, I can also go in between. Then I have this icon here, and now change the cut point of those 2 and move around. So let's remove this one. I just select this one, garbage can, this one is gone. So what if I look at my video and at the beginning, I actually want to cut the beginning? What if I want to cut exactly here? One way you can do this is, of course, now select the beginning and move this one here until you see the playhead. That's one way you can do it. But sometimes it takes a lot of time. So I will undo this one. You can also create a cut where the playhead is. And you can do the cut here with the scissor icon. So I just click on the scissor. Now I have 2 clips that I can each select separately. And if I select this one here, hit the garbage can, that is gone. Another way, I can select this and right click. I can also just say here cut, then this one is gone as well. And the same for the ending. Let's say, for example, I want to end my video exactly here on that position. I could use this and move it here to the beginning. One way you can do this. Or I can also just make a cut here and then select this one and delete. But now let's come into more advanced editing, because that is, for example, not the fastest way. There is actually a way that is called ripple delete to the next clip or ripple delete to the beginning clip. And how this works is you place your playhead here. We want to do exactly the same. We want to make a cut and delete the rest of the clip. What you can do is you can come up to this icon here, right click, and then you see here, trim start to playhead or trim end to playhead. And this one is the ripple delete to the end. So I can click on this one and now it does exactly the same. So I save 2 or 3 clicks. And the same here for the beginning. If I want to make a cut here and trim everything here to the beginning, I can right click on this and trim start to playhead. Now let's undo both of them. Now we come into territory where you can become very, very fast. And I recommend that you get a Bluetooth keyboard, either the Magic Keyboard or any Bluetooth keyboard, because when you use shortcuts, you can do exactly what we just did with shortcuts. And that's what I do. I have a shortcut here, for example, on my keyboard shortcut Q, and boom, I ripple to the beginning. I have another shortcut here to the end, boom, another shortcut there. If I go through my timeline on S, for example, and these are my shortcuts, this is not default. And in my masterclass, for example, I also give my shortcuts to become a very fast editor. And if I, for example, go through here, I can click S and I make automatically a cut in between the clips. And you see now, even by showing you, all of these 3 operations is so much faster if you use shortcuts. Obviously, not everyone has a keyboard. You don't need to have a keyboard. But DaVinci Resolve, because it's the same software like on the desktop, is designed to make you very fast if you actually have a keyboard. So I recommend getting something like a Magic Keyboard or a Bluetooth keyboard. The reason why I like the Magic Keyboard, even if it's more expensive, is it is very fast detached. If I just want to draw something, I want to write, I have my iPad just as an iPad, and I can very fast go to the Magic Keyboard and now use it on the go and have a keyboard. That's why I like the Magic Keyboard, but this works with any Bluetooth keyboard. And how can you set this up? If you have a keyboard and you hold down and press and hold Option, Command, and K, then the keyboard shortcuts customization window will open up. And now you can give keyboard shortcuts. If you now look for Start to Playhead, that's under Trim, Ripple. You will now find here Start to Playhead. Let's just remove this and to playhead. So these are the two functions, Ripple and to playhead, Start to Playhead. By default, they don't have a shortcut. So now you can just simply click here. You can even give multiple shortcuts. You can just, so if this is empty, it looks like this. So now I can just simply click in this one until this is red, and I can say End to Playhead. So to the next clip, I will use W, and then here Start to Playhead, I will use Q, and now I save. And now if I have a keyboard, I can use now what I just showed you, Q, W, and use those two operations with a keyboard shortcut. DaVinci Resolve on the iPad launched with 2 pages, the cut page and the color page. But the desktop version has more pages. It has a media page, it has the cut page, the edit page. I already talked about that. And DaVinci Resolve is designed to help you on every process of the movie creation, from the animations in Fusion, to the color grading, to the music, Fairlight, to the advanced editing in Edit. And in the iPad version, even if not all the features are working, but most of them do, we have all of the other features as well. This was one of my first videos that I created on YouTube because I figured that out after they released DaVinci Resolve. And that is one of the reasons why I say DaVinci Resolve on the iPad is one of the best softwares that actually exist. Everything that you learn, even here for the iPad, applies to the desktop as well because it's the same software. So I have shortcuts to open all of the other pages as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have the media page. The page is designed that you can sort through a media, make lots of stuff in here. Then we have the cut page that officially launched. Then we have the big brother of the cut page, the traditional edit page. And there are so much more functions that you can do here in the edit page. And most of them work on the iPad as well. Then we have the Fusion page. This is where you can do animations and everything. Then we have the color page that is officially launched. We have a Fairlight page and we have the delivery page. So if you have a keyboard, and fun fact, that also works with your iPhone or your Android. So you can download a Bluetooth keyboard and connect via Bluetooth to your iPad and then use the keyboard here to also, if you don't have a keyboard. That works on my YouTube channel. I will not now show you this, but on my YouTube channel, I have 2 videos where I show you this for Android and I'll also show you this for iPhone. And if you have a keyboard, you can come up to the keyboard customizations window, Option, Command, and K, and then click here on all commands and now scroll down all the way until you find this one here, Show Pages. If you open this one, you see now here's the color page, the cut page, deliver page, edit page. This is all empty. Same like before, you can give it shortcuts and then open these pages. This is how you unlock your iPad and get all the other pages as well. Lots of my viewers already know that. Just in case you didn't know that, now you know that too, and you can open all of the other pages. And no, you don't need a studio version for that. I get a lot of comments from beginners when they see my videos and they see that I have the other pages. They always assume, I don't know why, but they assume, oh, this must be studio. So I buy studio, but you don't get the pages with studio. With studio, each page has additional features that are locked behind Studio. Same like with the resolution. You can only create 8K timelines if you have the Studio version. But for opening the pages, that's part of the free version of DaVinci Resolve, same like on the desktop. So, and I already talked about that keyboard shortcuts will make you faster. There's lots of videos on the internet about how to become a faster video editor, and there's these little tricks and tips, same like with presets and organization. All of this is important. But your daily bread when you work and edit is how fast can you go through your timeline and edit something. And that is why I recommend shortcuts. And the reason why I changed my shortcuts from the default of Blackmagic Design is because I only want to use one hand. This is from my gaming background. I played many years, lots of games, very competitive. And when you want to become very good, you have to be very fast. And the same applies for video editing. So very soon when I started video editing, I changed my keyboard shortcuts. I did the same when I was still working in Premiere Pro, that is the editing software from Adobe. I changed the keyboard shortcuts that everything is on one hand. And if everything is on one hand, you have the other hand free to do operations here or to use your mouse or whatever you want. And then you can do your most basic stuff just on one hand, and that will make you faster. So in my masterclass, I give all of my shortcuts and I explain all of the shortcuts that I use just with one hand, and you can simply import them. You don't even have to create them themselves. So that's also part of my masterclass. If you want to be a faster video editor, this is one of the things that separates my masterclass from other courses where they just show you the basics. I actually show you how you become faster, make better videos, and also be faster in making your videos, and shortcuts is a very important part. So if you're on the fence, should I get a keyboard or not? I would really recommend you that you get a keyboard, especially if you edit at home. I understand if you're on the go, maybe on the go you not always need a keyboard, but if you get some sessions in, a keyboard is definitely handy for DaVinci Resolve. Okay, now let's come to the biggest mistake, number 5, and now we are talking about performance of your iPad. Obviously, we have so many different iPads, and not every iPad is the same, and obviously the performance can change. So what can you do on your iPad to change the performance? So the next setting is called render cache. So for example, I haven't showed you this yet, but if we come, for example, here in DaVinci Resolve, we have all of these different menus, right? We can add transitions. If I have now a transition, let's say, for example, here, this cross iris, I can drag and drop this transition in between my clips. So I have now a transition in between. This is now a very simple transition. That's why it's actually very easy to handle. I don't need to do this. But I also have more advanced transitions that I add from different manufacturers. And by the way, we also in the masterclass, I have a complete transition pack that I give for free for the people who have the masterclass. These are these ones here with all of these different transitions. These are a little more advanced. If I now take this, drag and drop down here to my transition, boom, I have this transition now on here. And sometimes, as you now see, it's okay, but it lags a little bit. And to make this smooth, what you can do is you can work with the so-called cache. So I come into the project settings. Then here under general options, you will find render cache. At the moment, I was setting it to none because I didn't need it. If you have a newer iPad, maybe you don't even need it. But what you can do is you can say, I want to use this as smart. And then there's also a location where you can change this. So for example, at the moment here on my downloads, I will actually now do the following. Here under DaVinci Resolve project library, I will create a new folder called cache. Open. So that means all of these project cache files will be saved in that folder. So I hit save. And now you will see now I have this red line because I changed my timeline and now it's gone. You see now it's blue. Now it created a little cache file so that you can preview this without any lags. You see, now there's no lags. That's the second setting that you can do. But sometimes it just takes a little bit more time because you have to wait until these red lines turn blue. So the third simple hack setting is actually your timeline resolution. So even if you want to create a 4K video, for example, in the end, as long as you work in your timeline, you can actually come up here to this icon again. And instead of choosing 4K, you could now say here just 2K and change the resolution of your actually preview. And that actually makes a smaller preview, and that can help to improve your preview here in DaVinci Resolve. But the second one, proxies, is actually the way that makes the most sense because 80%, you know the rule, 80-20 rule, sometimes with just 20% of your effort, you can make 80% of impact. What I now will show you is what also professional video editors and people in Hollywood are doing if they have large files and you want to work on them, especially if you have like 4K or even 8K material. We can use proxy files. So what is a proxy file? Let's say you have a 4K material and that's the original, but just for editing, we create a smaller file size, let's say 2K or maybe even just 1K, just to make our edits. And then in the end, we render a video based on the original material. So DaVinci Resolve understands that we still have original material, but just for us, so that we don't have any lags, we can create proxy files. And proxy files, for example, if we could look here next to this icon, we have this icon here. And with this icon, we can also change in between, prefer originals or prefer proxies. But if I change this now, we haven't created proxy files yet. So we have to first create proxy files. And the way you can create proxies, and this is now one of the steps where you need advanced. If you are just in the cut page and you right click here on a clip, you can see I can relink proxy media. So if you already created the proxy media, let's say, for example, on your Mac or on your desktop, or for example, if you use the Blackmagic camera app on your phone, there is settings about it to create a proxy file at the same time. So I could record a 4K video and also create a proxy file. And if you have Blackmagic Cloud, that's a cloud from Blackmagic that you can use for setting up your projects. I will not go into that because covering Blackmagic Cloud is like 5-6 videos, and I have that in my masterclass. So for example, if you work with a team or even yourself, you could go to a shoot, record the wedding, and at the same time upload the proxy files, not the original because they are too much size, right? You want to carry them back home on your SSD or on your phone. But what if a video editor is still in your office and wants to start editing the video while you are already shooting or still on the shoot? Maybe you're on a vlog, on a vacation for a travel company, and you are out there for a week and you want to make sure that the video gets done as fast as possible, and you have a team. Your team can already work on that. They can work just on the proxy file, and then later you finish the video when you have the original files back in the office. And that's why Blackmagic Camera, for example, you can record 4K videos and then upload automatically the proxy files. And so in that case, if I would now start here my video and I know I have the proxy files already, I could now come in here, relink proxy media, click on that, search for the proxy media. Let's say the proxy media is here on my storage, and then relink it. Or the opposite. What if I have the proxy files but I don't have the originals? I can link the full resolution media. So what if this is my proxy file and now I want to link the full resolution, because now I come back from the shoot back into the office and I give now my video editor, here's the full resolution. He could come in here, link full resolution. But what if we want to create proxy files on the iPad? For that, we have to change the page. That doesn't work on the cut page. You have to come into the edit page, because now here in the edit page looks almost the same like the cut page. We have a media pool, we have a viewer, and we have a timeline, just more settings. Every window just has a little bit more settings. We can do a little bit more. For example, if I right click here on a clip, I have way more features that I can do than just, for example, on the cut page. If I right click here, I have the most basic things that I can do, which is for most people enough. But if you want to do a little bit more advanced stuff, then most of the times we would actually come into the edit page. And the same here in the media pool. Here's my clips. I can right click now here, and you see now I have way more tools that I can select. And there's another extra folder just for proxy media. And here I can generate proxy media. Now it will ask me to put my proxy media. And what I would recommend you do in the same folder, DaVinci Project Library, I will actually now create a new folder and call that one Proxies. And now inside of this one, I will open this, and now it will go through and create a proxy. Depending on how big your file size is and how good your iPad is, this can take more time or longer time. And now let's look into this. If you see here, these are my clips. And because we changed this one now here to prefer proxies, I see now the icon proxy, and behind I see high quality. So if I change this back to prefer original, I see now here's the original. And the same thing is true if I take this clip into my timeline here. You see now here, now I'm using the original, and if I change this now to proxy, now it's using the proxy, and I can preview the proxy way faster. But these clips don't have the proxy, and you don't have to do it one by one. You can actually select all of these clips, and if you want to add something, I can just hold down the command key if you have a keyword, select another one. So now I selected these 4 clips, right click, proxy media, generate proxy media, same position here under proxies, and then open, and now it creates these proxies for all of the files. So you don't have to do it one by one. If you have a lot of files, you just select all of them, let it run, maybe over the night or in the evening, go drink a coffee, make yourself lunch, and then all the proxies are done. And that's how I work, because this is the best performance boost. Most people do not know it, most people don't use it, but now even just going through your timeline is so much faster, and even on an older iPad. Even if you, for example, have still the iPad mini 6 or something. So these were my 5 biggest mistakes when it comes to DaVinci Resolve for beginners on the iPad. And as I told you, I have a special offer for you now with my DaVinci Resolve Masterclass. So I created a DaVinci Resolve iPad Masterclass from beginner to pro, and in this Masterclass, what is included? So we go over the editing basics, of course, with everything that you learned today. We go in depth even more, and then this is something that separates my Masterclass and to all the other online courses. You saw that DaVinci Resolve is not just these 2 pages. There's actually way more things that we can do. So in every time when we figured something new out that it also works on the iPad, I created advanced editing techniques. These are videos, short in size, that you don't waste much time. If you want to do something specific, you can always go back to the advanced editing tab and find what you want to create. No other course has all of this. And then, of course, we haven't even touched that in this training. DaVinci Resolve is the best color grading program that exists on the market. Almost every Hollywood movie is color graded in DaVinci Resolve. I show you the entire color page and everything that you can do with this in the masterclass as well. Then we go through the note mastery, because DaVinci Resolve has a complete different philosophy to, for example, Premiere Pro and all the other editing software, and that is called notes. You will find notes inside of the color page, and you will find notes in the Fusion page when you want to continue in the future and even create animations. But notes are actually not that complicated. It makes everything more simple when you understand how you can use them. Then we go through the audio mastery, because every good movie is 50%. It's called audio visual art. You have to create amazing videos with amazing sound effects. We go through all of this. There's an extra module just about audio. And then because I'm a digital nomad, there's an extra module just about travel nomad and everything that I have, what kind of gear I use and everything. We cover that too. And then because I'm a digital nomad, I try to do as much as I can just with the iPad, even if it's harder on the iPad. And in MacBook, you could do more. I found so many ways how you can just use the iPad. Then of course, there's cheat sheets and more, everything related to DaVinci Resolve. We will cover it in here. Here, you see the first time Blackmagic Design created a speed editor that works on the desktop and that also works with the iPad. And how this one works, I give you a complete separate masterclass. I sell that separately. Let's go here to the bonuses, because it's not just that. I give a lot of filmmaker bonuses with this masterclass. Here I give a complete seamless transition pack. All these zoom in, zoom out, very simple. You just install it and then you drag and drop it onto your timeline and done. You have your transitions however you want to like this. And then I also give a 8K film grain bundle. If you want to create movies like back in the 90s and everything, you just drag and drop, done. Then this is a complete separate course that we sell. This is for the DaVinci Resolve speed editor, and I can encourage you, you don't need that, but it's part of the masterclass. If you want to learn the speed editor with everything that you can do, because that is designed for the cut page in DaVinci Resolve and it works on the go. If you want to do this, it is designed that you can do everything just here and you don't even need a mouse or your pencil anymore. And I have this separate masterclass and I give this as a bonus here to the DaVinci Resolve iPad masterclass. And not just that. Of course, we talked about there is the audio mastery. I give you a complete sound effects library that you can use for your videos, so you don't even have to look for other sound effects anymore. And there's amazing sound effects that you can use in here. And then there is a social media pack for all the rings and dings and pings. You can use this, just drag and drop again, and also my orange and teal LUTs pack to just drag and drop your colors that you want on top of your footage, but still not everything. Just that alone, everything we just touched, the core and all the bonuses, is a value of over 140 plus videos with over 30 hours of material and $950 of value. But it's not just that. We also have a community in Discord and also in the Facebook, and we have a private channel on Discord, and we also have now a community inside of the course as well. I give big discounts. This is a good thing if you are a content creator. So if you ever want to create content as well, as a content creator, you can go to brands and negotiate deals. I give a lot of deals and discounts that I don't publicly share. Only the students of the masterclass get these discounts. So if you're considering buying other VFX products from Motion VFX, big films and everything, then you actually maybe get them cheaper and even save whatever the masterclass costs just by saving here on the discounts. We have a lot of free downloads, and as I mentioned, there's one, for example, that is one of my partners, that is Big Films. We give 15% off if you buy a product from them, and then you can create amazing videos like superhero movies, like Marvel movies. So there's a lot of bonuses in. We talked about the custom keyboard customizations. There's a lot of live Q&As that we created. There's regular contests that we did. All of that inside here of that amazing masterclass, and access to future content. This is not a membership. I don't want to have a monthly recurring fee, even if I would make more money on that. I want that you get everything that you need. It's a one-time payment, and then you have it for life. So every update, every time when something new happens to DaVinci Resolve, I make videos about that, and it also comes into this. So you get lifetime access to the community, to all the features, to all the modules. So we have premium pricing. It's over $950 of value. The regular price is $247. But because you are watching this webinar right now and you stick until now, I want to give you a special bonus, $100 in savings. So you only pay $147 for everything. For the lifetime access, it's built one time, it's over 140 videos growing, it's access for the future, it's group access and for life, regular video content, software and discounts and downloads and presets. And if you really don't like it, you have nothing to lose. I give a $30 money back guarantee. If you come in and you don't like it and you don't think that I give you the value that you want out of this, and if you don't think this is valuable what I give you, then you get your money back. No worries. You just write me an email, tell me the reason why you don't want this, because then I can learn, and then you get your money back. So this is what other customers were saying. Sheldon, for example, I love the iPad Mastery add-on. And mind you, there's more and more bonuses that were growing. When he bought, there was not even that many bonuses in that you now see. After I saw you show a couple of things on YouTube, I decided to join and take the training. The LUTs giveaway is a great bonus. Or for example, the channel Engineering Reveals, man, you just saved me $200. Thanks a lot, bro. Love you. Or for example, Carlos, Daniel, I totally agree with your position. Nothing is really free, but people like to invest in your passions, your skills, and somehow manage to achieve their goals with a lot of talent and a lot of sweat. Nothing comes easy and effortlessly. I have been following your journey since the end of the last year, and today I don't spend a day without following your daily videos. Finally, last week I was able to participate in your course, and I feel very honored to be able to contribute a little to your growth in the same way that you inspired me and teach me every day. Simple thanks for you and your dedication. Thanks, Carlos. Or for example, Bob, you're amazing. Hard work shows in your DaVinci Resolve iPad course. Great work, and your active participation makes it even so very amazingly worthwhile. Your business will really make it to the top. Thank you so much. Or for example, Jay-Z, Daniel, excellent module. I have been watching hours on YouTube videos on DaVinci Resolve for the iPad, and no one is teaching like you. You are doing an outstanding job. I just have to say that again. Of course, I wanted to make an outstanding product. That is my goal, to help you and create something amazing. And I watched hours of content in the past from different sources, from different, not just about DaVinci Resolve, about everything. And you wouldn't believe how many how many online courses are just blown up. And the biggest problem that I had, and that's the reason why I make a different approach with the advanced module, for example, the biggest problem that I had is, okay, now you watch it. There's a 3 hours video. You go through it, you make notes, and then later, like let's say 2 weeks later, 2 months later, you forget. I'm still the same, I forget. And now I have to go back. Where did he teach that? I have to go through the whole 3 hours video again. This is why I created these bite-sized videos that you can consume. You are not overwhelmed. You can watch them, learn step by step. You can learn and only learn the stuff that you really need at the moment in your progress for your videos, and you will always find what you need. This is the reason why I created this masterclass like I do it right now. Or Chris, for example, great job and thanks. The course is really good and really easy to learn, as you give a lot of information and knowledge. Thank you, Chris. So there's so many other customers who talked about this. Again, under this webinar, you can just simply sign up for that. You get $100 in discount, and I give so much value for that. You have a 30 days money back guarantee. So what are you waiting for? Definitely check out the masterclass if you want to continue the learning path. You can, of course, learn everything always on your own. This is what I did. It took me years to figure out all the things and all the trials and errors, and you learn a lot by that. That is the reason why I become a teacher now, because I went through all the struggle. But if you want to shortcut that and not go through all the learning curves yourself, go through YouTube videos and search for hours, and then maybe even don't find what you actually wanted to find, that is when courses come in. You pay for the knowledge of someone else to shortcut your learning curve. Instead of learning for a year or maybe 2 years to understand DaVinci Resolve, a Hollywood software, you shortcut everything, and maybe in just 1 or 2 months you know everything that you need, instead of spending 1, 2 or 3 years learning the software. And that means also delaying the videos that you could create. And that in return, that actually means having more free time. Let's be honest. Why do we do video editing? What is the end outcome? What is the end outcome for you? You maybe want to create amazing videos. Maybe it's just for you, for your hobby, or maybe because you now have more time to do it. But again, you don't want to spend hours editing. You want to present your family your finished project. Maybe the last holiday that you guys did, and you just want to show your family this video. You don't want to spend weeks and weeks inside of the editing program. And that is, for example, something that you can't even put a number tag on that. The free time that you get because of you become faster, you have all the tools and all the resources, so everything is in here. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me, ask questions in the community, direct it to me, and the community helps each other to make sure that you become a faster video editor, that you don't stuck for years in the learning process. Because let's be honest, a Hollywood software, even if it's nice to have, it is a complicated software to learn all this. But you can shorten that down by learning from someone who did all the work before. So I encourage you again, go down. Thanks for this training. I hope you got a ton of value out of it. And of course, even if you don't choose to join the masterclass, there's a lot of free content for you on my YouTube channel. There's so many videos that I created now in the last 2 years about DaVinci Resolve on the iPad. I'm the creator that created in German and in English videos about DaVinci Resolve on the iPad, because I guess you can already see here from the video, I have a passion for that. I really believe in the future also on the iPad, even if we still have a long way to go. I believe in the future in the iPad, and that at some point we will do everything on the iPad, and DaVinci Resolve is one step forward into that future. So be part of that. I'm happy to see you inside of the community and inside of the course. If you want to choose to work together, click the link below. That's it for this training. Have fun in your next project. I'm Daniel, and see you soon. Bye.